Andrea Argueta, welcome to see you on the show. I'm delighted to have you join me today to help the credit union movement understand and grasp and implement AI in credit unions. So thank you for joining me. Tell me a little bit about you have a credit union background, and that resonates powerfully with our listeners. So tell me about your credit union background and what you did and where you did it. And then how you came to do what you're doing today and what that is.
Of course. Well, first of all, thanks, Doug, for having us here. Um, I come from the movement. I was the COO of a credit union here in Washington, D.C., and led a digital transformation. Um, think about all the projects that you could do at a credit union. We did them, everything from core conversion, website redesign, rebranding, digital banking improvements, launching a virtual branch. We worked on those. Our credit union was special in the sense that we were serving members of an international organization. So we had members in 75 countries around the world. And so digital was very important for us. And I actually partnered with Glia, used Glia for a couple of years before I moved over to the Glia side. And what I do now is I advise credit union executives around launching digital customer service, leveraging AI, and just having a really strong unified interaction management strategy.
Hmm. So I'm unfamiliar with Glia. So tell me and my listeners, what is Glia? What does Glia do?
Yeah, of course. So as we know in credit unions, there's lots to do, and we don't always have all the resources we would like to have. And I know right now that bar is only getting higher with all the technology out there. And so that's where Glia comes in. Glia eliminates the efficiency versus experience trade-off by using AI to automate interactions, elevate agent performance, and transforming reporting and insights for leaders. So one thing I always like to think about when we're talking about Glia is, yes, we come and solve these problems, but when you partner with Glia, you want to imagine what you could do if you automate all the routine tasks and inquiries and really delegate those to AI and think about, could you reinvest those savings or agent hours or reallocate, those agent hours or just right size, the team, depending on, what goals you have at your organization.
So what is Glia a standalone company? Is it a QSO structure? What's the organizational structure?
Yeah, so Glia actually is a fintech provider that has a QSO as well. Our credit unions value us a lot, and we created that QSO for that reason. But we really come in and provide, I would say, first AI to all of the interactions, but we also provide digital customer service and a voice solution.
So it's direct to member AI, which is really sensitive, right? You got to get that right. And I know I was thinking about your experience as a customer in banking and in medical, and it's like one of the things that is absolutely drives me crazy is ever entering data twice or entering data, being asked to enter data that you should already have. Not update, but it's like you give me a blank slate and want me to re-enter it. Absolutely hate that. And it sort of displays incapacity and antiquated technology when I experience that. Is that part of what you're doing for credit unions? And then can you give me specific implementation examples like here's a credit union that because AI or it's super new, we're in 2025, but way long ago in 2024 some folks started doing something. So we'd love to hear about some implementation of specific tangible impact to credit unions and to the members.
Yeah, so I would say that we definitely improve that experience. We don't want our members to be repeating themselves. And so AI helps, with that journey of providing quick answers to routine questions. But when they need to hand off to an agent, we definitely provide that context so they don't have to re-explain the whole conversation that they just had with the AI, with a virtual assistant. And so the agent can pick up right where they left off for a really positive experience. And so we've seen a couple of organizations, for example, Heritage Federal Credit Union, double its call volume without increasing its contact center staff, which I know is super important at a credit union. How do we not continually increase headcount? I know that's like the biggest line item that we have, the
Yeah.
big expense, and so that's very important. And then right now they're enhancing at least 90% of their member interactions. Similarly, Service First Federal Credit Union saved 69 hours per week with their AI-powered phone assistant.
Hmm.
And that dramatically reduced wait times and abandonment rates, which, it doesn't impact the experience. If anything, it enhances it because the way I like to think about it is when you're using AI for those simple routine interactions, you're basically freeing up your team to really focus on those important conversations where it matters to have a human agent converse with you. So you're making them, that personalized service that credit unions are known for, you're making it more accessible to everyone.
Yeah, it's super important to have that go quickly from if the AI can answer the question and answer it quickly and accurately, that's fantastic. But often the only time I would imagine that some members would interact would be when it's weird, when it's outside of their norm and it's a little maybe outside of the AI's current ability to answer things. So that handoff to the existing team in the call center is a really big deal. Is the platform agnostic as to core or system, or is it does it have certain requirements as far as any of the credit union software systems?
So I would say that Glia, first of all, we have great partnerships with a lot of online banking providers, core providers. So we're purpose built. So we have these relationships already. So we have productized integrations with, the most popular um, providers out there and partners out there. So that's one. But also just, I think we've been able to help a lot of organizations, regardless of their providers there. We were um, really leading the way in those integrations. And so I would say that we do a really good job of discovering what your requirements are, what the technical requirements are, and providing a solution around that.
So the implementation, you mentioned two credit unions, and so they went through the process of determining that they wanted to implement AI. Was this their, and it's okay if you don't know, was this their first implementation of AI, and the implementation was in a customer service capacity? Is that right?
So it was definitely in a customer service capacity. I'm not familiar if they have other AI within the organization. And I bring that up because I know that right now a lot of credit unions are looking at what their AI strategy is going to be.
There's a lot of options, yeah.
Lots of options where they're going to invest their time and money, but I do know that I think something that they want to be thinking of is the feasibility and the value that they're going to get. And there's definitely high impact when you invest it in member experience because it really touches every single part of the member journey. And with purpose-built solutions, the feasibility is pretty high as well. And so it's a likely win. And that's the way they want to be evaluating where they're going to invest when it comes to AI, right? There's other solution where it takes a lot of work up front and the value is low. And so, that's where it might be more of a risk to invest in those areas. And so as they're really thinking about this, especially now in strategic planning season, I think
Hmm.
the biggest question they should be asking themselves when it comes to AI investment.
Yeah, it's on this podcast we've talked about all kinds of AI related subjects, but one of the ones that really stood out for me was a system that took all the policies and procedures for customer service and created a central source of truth and a single consistent answer for the internal team, which is step two, right? Your tool is step one. Ideally, it's the same data, I assume, right? You guys ingest the policies and procedures from the internal tool, probably the same tool as the human beings use. You ingest that into your AI and then answer the questions that way. Is that correct? And then that way the AI and the customer service representatives give the same answers?
Yeah, so I think that's a really good question. I would say that you want to be thinking of when it comes to AI about the entire member journey, right? It's the entire interaction. And what I mean by that is there are different parts that make up a member interaction with your team. And so when it comes to AI, you want to make sure that either you're automating or augmenting the entire interaction. And what I mean by that is at the beginning, you can have member facing AI to answer those simple routine questions. Then you can have, when you transfer it to an agent, you can have tools that help automate the agent work or augment the agent work.
Mm-hmm.
And that can look like in different ways, right? You can automate the transcript that gets put together to transfer from the bot to the agent. You can provide live recommendations for the agent.
Yeah, well, I love that idea.
Yeah, and you can, do a lot there. And then you can also think of the other stakeholders that we're not, thinking about. When the interaction ends, um, also, you can automate the summary or the notes that you're taking about the interaction using AI, but it doesn't end there. Then it comes the manager work, right? The manager needs to do quality um, analysis on the interaction, so QA on the interaction. And that is very manual. I've talked to a lot of credit unions, and with a lot of heavy work, they might get to at least 1% of the interactions. And so when you think about that, you really don't have a clear picture on what the performance truly is. And so using AI to automate QA and get not 1%, but 100% of the interactions evaluated for strategic things that you're looking for, that is game changer. And that frees up the manager's time to be more strategic. And then it doesn't end there. Now, at the executive level, you're looking at performance at a higher level. So how do we automate that? How do we augment that too? So I like to think that the entire interaction needs to be either automated or augmented using AI. And it's helpful when you have, you know, a partner that can consolidate all of that, right? That you're not giving, you know, one AI tool, the agent piece, another AI tool, the member piece, and it doesn't fit together. But it's really truly looking at it holistically.
Yeah, the implementations that you mentioned, how old are they? When were they put in?
I would say last year.
Yeah, that's about as old as it gets in AI, right? So 2024 they were put in, and can you state those stats again, please, about
Yes.
those two credit unions?
Yes. So Heritage Federal Credit Union doubled its call volume without increasing its contact center staff.
But
Um,
interesting, double the call volume. So the call volume like occurred because the members had more needs, and that they were able to meet those needs with no additional staff. I wonder, like the first question I think is like, wow, why did that call volume increase so much? But that's a whole separate issue, right?
Well, I feel like we're helping credit unions in different scenarios. One, there's those that are growing quickly, and they're growing quickly, but it's impacting their efficiency, right? So when they're looking at their efficiency ratio, they're seeing kind of those results of that growth, whether it's, it can be in all areas, share growth, loan growth, member growth. And we come in and support that to make sure that as they continue to grow, um, they one solve the current issue of efficiency, but they're also future proofing that growth.
Mhm.
And then we're also seeing those that are experiencing low growth. And so we want to make sure that we can help them become as efficient as possible so they have the bandwidth to invest in growth activities, deepening those relationships, onboarding new members, offering the new either money market account or share certificate
Right.
or the new mortgage that we're offering now. And then we have those that are experiencing, I would say, um, both, right? That they have the greatest pain in that aspect. They are inefficient, they're not growing, they're stagnant. And it's, again, how do we free up the time to really think through where are they going to reinvest for growth, like what they're going to prioritize for growth. And last but not least, we have those that are, leading the way. They are growing, they're efficient. Uh, but as they continue to grow, they might start to see those growing pains, or they might just be really looking to continue to stay as a leader, right? How do they keep that leader space there? And I think with AI, they can definitely do that because they're future-proofing their growth, but they're also, adopting technology that right now, I think it's becoming table stakes. Everyone's exposed to AI in all sorts of businesses, in all sorts of areas of life. And so, you know, a credit union that adopts it sooner is going to be well ahead than others. And what I like about Glia is that I think that Glia is really um, just providing credit unions a way to access this technology. So it's bringing parity in terms of technology, right? We don't have, for example, a Bank of America might have a whole team of AI within their organization. At
Yeah.
a credit union, we don't always can
Credit
afford.
unions need fintech, right? We need fintech to help keep this industry.
Yeah, so what I like is that Glee has really taken that into their hands and created a tool that they can, one, easily just, there's a process to get it up and running, but they're not really building it. And that's a big decision to make. When do you build and when do you buy? And I
Hmm.
think for something like member experience and member service, it would take so much work, so many resources, a lot of new talent to hire to be able to get something up and running quickly enough to use it. And that's actually powerful. We're not talking about a basic FAQ bot. We're talking about virtual assistants that can really do about, 800 types of uh, question. They can answer about 800 questions in different ways and then know how to transition to a human when needed, what journey to take. And that takes a lot of work. We're talking about, AI consultants and data scientists.
So
And
how many credit unions have said yes so far?
I don't have the exact number, but I know that there's
Can't be
credit
that big yet.
credit unions adopting this every week, like or going live with their virtual assistants every single week. And I've seen organizations that maybe last year were like, we're not sure how members are going to react. Now thinking about seriously, okay, now's the time. Where do we start? Right?
Hmm.
Because you don't necessarily have to start on the member side. You can also start on the back end. You can start automating your agent work, your manager work,
Right.
executive work while you prepare for the member side if that's what you choose. But we also have a lot of credit unions that are leading the way where they've gone all in with, having virtual assistants on the voice side, on the digital side, and also.
So how long does it take? So you decide that you're going to try to use it in the call center fashion that you mentioned. Excuse me. How long does it take from deciding that you're going to do this to it being live?
So I think there's lots of components to that because they might be that they're also rolling out, the voice solution, right? They're replacing their contact center solution, or they're launching digital customer service for the first time. But I would say that we're talking about, uh, you know, potentially 2 months, 3 months max, depending on the resources that you have available. I've had a credit union that was doing this right before their core conversion, and we were talking about weeks. So it really depends on the
Before the core conversion?
yes, yes, because they were really looking for a cost-effective way to handle that peak, right, of calls that you get during a conversion. And so they decided to go through this route because it would be the best way to invest those funds in a long-term solution versus a solution for a couple of weeks, when you outsource to another third-party
Hmm.
contact center for a couple of weeks,
Hmm.
basically just getting resources for those weeks and that money that's spent it was already spent. You're not getting anything out of it. So I've seen a lot of organizations really think through this, and not just for core conversions, but generally, like, they have 30 third-party contact centers um, providing solution to overflow after hours and it's very costly, and a lot of it still comes back in tickets, right? At least 40% is what I hear from others and was my experience as well. And you're paying for that. And
Mhm.
so what I see across the board is that you can significantly decrease the number of interactions that you're paying for with a third-party contact center, or we've had some customers that have gotten rid of that altogether and have
Mm.
replaced it with a solution that works 24/7. It's
And is it lower cost? Can you save the credit union money?
oh, for sure. You not only do you save money, but you have a fixed um expense going forward. You know what it's going to cost. And I like to think that this virtual assistant really becomes part of the team, right? And it
And it
doesn't.
should become should be an increasingly more accurate, more effective member of the team, right? Because it only gets better.
Correct. It's learning from all the interactions. It can do transactions. And also, it doesn't take breaks. It's available 24/7. So now you can go to a 24/7 model without the additional expense of, that head count. And you're also getting comprehensive reporting too.
Yeah. And that's going to give you the feedback loop to make it better. Do you have any examples around that? Like actual like here, and again, I know it's super new, maybe you don't yet, but I'd love to hear about like we implemented and the tool was producing this level of effectiveness as far as the I don't know what the metrics are for a contact center, but then we dialed it in a little bit more effectively and made some various modifications, and it got even more effective. Are there any instances like that, or is it too early?
Yeah, no. So I can give you some stories that we have. One organization that on average was saving about $41,000 by using this AI solution. They were seeing almost 60% reduction of average wait time.
Now, is this versus outsourced? Is that what changed? Is they were outsourcing and they changed the outsourcing to AI?
Yes, yes. And one of the things that I would say from this is
Can you
uh,
tell us who that was?
I don't know if I
Don't know. It's all right. Okay, go ahead.
if I can. That's a great question. Um, but I would say that that's one example. Also, that's without considering just thinking about the time to deploy. It was less than 100 days to deploy, something like.
Hmm.
So we're
Hmm.
talking about this, this is quick. When you think about in terms of
Hmm.
implementation, it can be really quick. One thing I want to highlight really is the reason why you can deploy so quickly. It's because, we've put in all this work into building all these um, paths that the virtual assistant can take. When I bought I want to say maybe like 7 years ago, we were getting a spreadsheet, and we had to come up with the questions, and that took a lot of work. And we're banking professionals, right? We're not sitting there thinking about the 10,000 different ways one single question can be asked. That's what Glia has done, and making sure that the virtual assistants do a really good job of understanding the the metrics.
So that
Sorry,
so
the
that means
question.
you had to seed the system with a whole bunch of knowledge from some source, right? Is that something you can tell us about how that works?
So I don't think I would go in that.
It's okay. All right. Now, I ask questions. It's okay to say no to them.
I would say so. We're really focused on credit unions and banks, and so we do a really good job of understanding, what are the needs of credit unions and banks, and so we've made sure that we have built answers for around 800 customer goals, knowing what are the main goals. Like we've taken a deep dive into understanding what are the goals of these credit unions and how can we automate. We've been very thoughtful about what needs to be automated and what should remain agent first, right? So, for example, I'm sure a member would not mind if a virtual assistant provided them with an ABA routing number. And in fact,
Hmm.
text it to them so they don't have to take notes, but they will care if you want like a deep consultation around what's your best share certificate or mortgage product. And you're trying to handle that with a bot, right? I like to
Mhm.
think that Glia is freeing up the time for the team to focus on those conversations that matter. So that's how it was really built. And we're also thinking about how do we provide responsible AI for all stakeholders. So it's not just member facing, it's not just agent, but we're also considering managers and executives. So we're really thinking about the entire interaction completely.
When is AI going to be able to look at my activity in an account and suggest things that are in your interest? As far as like Amazon watches what you look at and keeps track and then suggests things for you. Is how far away is that from a member experience?
Well, I'm sure that at least for this part, I know that and I don't know if we can exclude this question, but because we don't really look at them, we're not like digging into the members' data in the core. We're not doing
Mhm.
that, but we are looking at the interaction itself.
Just at that moment's interaction, not at like all the things they've done in their checking or credit cards, right? Not that's a different thing.
Not for now. Yeah, no, not
Okay,
that.
that's fine. Yeah, I didn't think it was there yet, but I love the idea of just getting more and more custom so that you can provide more custom member experiences, anticipate questions before they come and answer the question today and the one that they're likely going to come up with because we look back in the logs and we see that every 15 days you call to check on so and so thing. So instead of waiting for your call, we're going to answer the question before you ask, right? That's where we should be headed.
Right. And you bring up a great point. I know that we're looking at what other results can we expect from AI. And I know that time after time I keep hearing from credit unions that there's a lot of competition out there. So they're thinking about how do they increase their membership. And that's really become like a longevity strategy, attracting younger generations, attracting different communities, and just expanding their reach. And I know that another way to be thinking about the solution is what we can do to just provide more accessibility to different communities. One example, one credit union was able to begin providing service in Spanish, and they saw 428% lift in their Spanish chat by
Yeah, I
implementing.
assume it's an immediate, like the AI doesn't care, right? It just immediately can switch from one language to the next without any skip at all, right?
Yes, and this virtual assistant was able to contain about 87% of the Spanish language interactions. And I think that that just speaks volumes of um, the mission of our credit unions are people serving people and just being able to expand service to all sorts of communities. And
Yeah.
I
And
think
24/7 and maybe cost savings and more better and increased member service. All those things I think can potentially come together from AI implementation, which is why I've been doing a lot of podcasts on it. I think it's a really, really critical thing that the credit union movement embrace, lean into, take a little bit of risk with, but make it part of your strategic plan to become a leader in AI. You absolutely must, in my opinion, you must in order to stay relevant.
yes, I think today is not like an if or a nice to have, it's a must. And we want to think about AI that it's really not replacing human connection, amplify it, right? To make the member experience better. And I think that's how we should be thinking about it and just asking ourselves, where are we going to have the biggest impact for our credit union? Because I feel like a big question that we should be asking ourselves is if we get to automate a lot of the interactions, we're technically increasing the capacity of our team. And we want to be thinking about, okay, what do we want to do with that? Right? We get lots of choices there. We get to think through, do we reinvest that back in our members? Do we provide more dividends? Do we offer a new share certificate or money market account, for some time? Or we can also just, I think through, do we reinvest that
I bet
in?
that's a while out though, right? Right now it's an increased spend. The savings takes a while to show up. I hope to heck that's the promise of AI, right? That we decrease overhead costs and obviously that might decrease some staff, but
Well, yeah,
increase.
in that sense, Doug, like it is actually faster. Like if you deploy voice AI within the first month, you could potentially automate 40% of your volume. So the question becomes, what do you do with that team capacity, right? Do you reinvest it in the growth activities, deepening the relationship, just having them focus more on that high value
Hmm.
member complex
Yeah.
issue, or do you retrain them? Another question is, again, if you are using voice AI to reduce or eliminate the overflow in after hours, then you have a monthly reduction of your spend. And it's significant. These contracts are, they charge you per minute, anywhere between $1 to $2 per minute. So we are talking about significant savings, and we're not talking about 6 months down the line. Once you deploy, you start seeing that right away. And also, just thinking about contact centers usually have a lot of churn,
Mm.
potentially choose not to backfill, right? Because the volume is now taken care of by that virtual assistant. But I think you can also then think about, do I reallocate these resources in another area of the business for business development? Do I modernize my branches? Like there could be so many things that you could be
What
doing.
great questions you get to ask when those problems present themselves.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
So, if our listeners want to learn more about Glia, where would they go to find out more?
Well, Glia.com, there's our website. We can quickly answer questions from there. And we can also, we're on social media. Also, if you have your partner with your online banking provider, we have partnerships with most of them. And so you can reach out that way as well. So there's many
Excellent.
ways to get in contact with us.
Very good, Andrea. Thank you for helping the credit union movement power ahead with the critical win in AI implementation. It must be done. The only question is, when is your credit union going to do it? Where is your credit union going to do it? And who are you going to do it with? With that, we'll thank all of our listeners. Thank you, Andrea. Any final thoughts for our listeners today on the need to implement AI in credit unions? Just any final things you want to close with?
Yes, I would say that AI right now is the way to help our people. And what I mean by that is if you implement AI, you're going to be able to have the time to have those meaningful conversations to make a difference. And that means getting someone that first home or getting those savings for their kids' college education, those conversations that matter, we get to have them because we're automating those that aren't needed to be had by with an agent. So make sure that you're reaching out to as much people as you can, increase your reach. You can do that with AI and continue helping the movement.
Andrea from Glia, thank you so much for joining me today.